Happy Friday, everyone. Tom Grisafi, Ag Bull Media, Ag Bull Trading. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee today at the Nesvik Trading Office, and we got the one and only Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer. To say I'm excited that this week's over, I could use a nap. Are you tired?
I am very tired because of all that shutdown of the government, trade aid to farmers under review could be announced if the government's open next week. Trump is going to meet with Canada's prime minister next week, and we have more than that we'll talk about today. And I do want to tell your listeners that I'll be in Savannah, Georgia, early part of this coming week to a crop insurance agents meeting. So I'll have fun there.
Good. I hope someone. It'd be really cool if someone watches this show and they see you. I'll pull up the bullet points and we'll have a nice conversation.
Sure.
Got a good organized show. You know why we got a good organized show? Because you sent us good organized notes. Government shutdown, Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer.
Yeah, we just had a vote on the Senate floor. They rejected the bill again, a clean bill to reopen the government until November the 21st. That's the Republican bill that they voted down. We all know the Democrat alternative will not pass. So it looks like we're into next week. I don't think they'll meet this weekend unless they have a surprising agreement. And the one issue to watch for is health care, the Obamacare. The Democrats want a lot of money for that. But there's time, Tommy, on this one. And this is what the Republicans are telling the Democrats, that this increase, because they're going to do away with the COVID time period increase that we saw in Obamacare payments. But COVID is basically over, not totally over, basically over. And they don't take an increase coming in the Obamacare payments won't come until December the 31st of this year. So House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, is telling the Democrats, hey, let's get this government opened again, and then we'll have 7 weeks to talk about whether or not we can come to an agreement on some portions of what the Democrats want on Obamacare changes and what the Republicans want on Obamacare changes, such as reform. They want a means test on that program, and they want to get into a significant percentage of Obamacare payments have been filed by insurance companies that had no claims on it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so there's a need for reform. So that's where we're at least on bringing back the government. We really don't know. You have to have another vote. So I think they're going to take the weekend to try to get an agreement between the congressional leaders in both the House and the Senate and both parties. And really, you have to have President Trump's approval as well on that Obamacare provision.
Yeah, I think that Obamacare, there was a lot more in that recipe than we all realized I remember when they signed that many years ago, and then a lot of us thought it was a wonderful thing, but it was like a ticking time bomb for all the things that are cooked in that. Is that accurate?
Very accurate. And there was so much misreporting or sleight of hand when they did it, because remember, it was supposed to save money. Well, it was really a huge cost factor. And this one provision on the COVID-related increases, that's only $200 billion.
What's 200 B amongst friends, Mr. Wiesemeyer?
So there needs to be reform, and I'm just being honest. It needs to be reformed, and they have 7 weeks to talk about it. Now, to be fair to the Democrat side, they're saying, we can't trust you unless we have it in writing from the congressional leadership on the other side, Republicans. And also, we have to have an agreement that President Trump and his OMB people, Russell Volt, the head of Office Management and Budget, won't rescind this funding after we get it. So you'll eventually, some of that will be part of an eventual agreement to bring the government out of shutdown, but we're not there yet.
Well, let's talk about the easy stuff now. Status of the USDA payments until doors reopen.
Yeah, a lot. Now, every shutdown is different, and this administration has taken a more aggressive role on payments, even mandatory payments. So, if you could pull up the bullet points, yeah,
This one right here?
yeah, most farmers are wanting to say the first one's important. The additional 14% payment under ECAP is out the door, so this is not affected. Most of those payments were made, thank goodness. Okay. I got a lot of emails from farmers saying, hey, they deposited it in my account. I've got the money. Crop insurance is not impacted. Okay. But ARC and PLC is affected. Now, that hasn't occurred in prior shutdowns. So those won't be paid for the 2024 crop until USDA reopens. And that's $2.3 billion. That's a chunk of change. There's no commodity loan activity, and loans won't be made or redeemed until USDA reopens. And here's another one, the stage 2 under the disaster program, SDRP, which was slated for this month. That's on hold right now. ELRP, livestock. They're halted, those applications, until USDA comes back, and the block grants by certain states are on pause until we get the government back and running. And so that's pretty important stuff as far as, USDA is concerned. And we have about 50% of USDA employees being furloughed. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, I think I have a chart of that.
Yeah,
too,
I think we do.
Is this
it?
Right
there. Well, yeah, these are by agencies within USDA. Look at Farm Service Agency. The purple is furloughed. That means not working. And the aqua, I guess, or maybe blue.
Yeah,
aqua
we'll go with aqua.
Aqua.
Yeah, we'll
I like
go with aqua.
Yeah. That's exempt. So there's more than a few are still working over there, but a lot who are not. And that's the problem of implementing. You have to have people to actually implement some of these payments, and they're not there. They're not there.
Interesting. All righty. Well, speaking of interesting, let's see what's next. We got it. I do have a question for you.
Sure.
Okay. I don't even know what the heck I'm talking about here, but a farmer called me today. He said he got all his money for his payments, the last 15%, but the government held back 1%. What was he talking about?
That I don't about 1%. It was 14. Remember, they got 85%.
Yeah.
So they didn't hold back. They're just going to pay for 99%. That's
Okay.
the ECAP.
Okay. They didn't hold back.
They're not
1%.
holding back. No.
Oh, he explained it wrong.
Yeah, that's the 14%.
What we call that? Garbage in, garbage out. All right. Thank you for clarifying.
They wanted 100%, but they got 99. Let me just tell you, if I get 99% of anything, I'm happy. And I'm a cynic, so I'm happy at 99%.
What's this bad boy? Website Showdown.
Oh, this is the funny politics of a shutdown. Now, it's not happy if you're not working and you want to check and things like that. So I fully understand the sensitivity on that, but it didn't take the Republicans long to fire off some websites at the White House and at USDA is very aggressive. And I think we have a couple of them or not, Tommy.
Oh, on the charts of those?
Yeah.
Oh, with the that pretty picture of Amtrak and stuff?
Well, no, that's just the impacts of the government shutdown. But the websites, the White House just
we'll have to talk our way through them.
Okay, the White House squarely put it on.
I see it here in your notes. This one, I'll read it to you. Due to the radical left Democrat shutdown, the government website will not be updated. That one.
Yeah, that's on USDA's website.
Dear Lord, is that even legal?
That's pretty. All is fair in love and politics. Okay, so and the White House has it on their main page, but now the Democrats are trying to counter with some odd graphics. I think of a cat. I just can't understand where they're going. And Governor Newsom, Democrat governor from California, has a countdown of how long the Republican shutdown is lasting. So you can see his spin on that one. It's just they're and all this is happening to get the spin on who American voters are going to blame for this shutdown. Now, I will tell you, there was a Wall Street Journal story today that the White House and some Republican lawmakers are getting nervous about this health care provision because they're thinking that the majority will blame the Republicans, even though the Republicans want a clean bill relative to getting the government back. And it's usually not the case. It's usually the Republicans asking for something to keep the government open. If you recall, when Trump was when they shut down the government, they wanted funding for the wall. They wanted to delete Obamacare. This was all the Republicans asked when they shut down the government. This time, the Republicans want a clean bill, and the Democrats are asking around, I think, 1.5 trillion with a T, $trillion in increased funding in order to get their votes to pass the Senate. They're 5 votes away in the Senate, Tommy. But 3 Democratic senators have already broken with their party leadership and have voted with the Republicans. They need 5 more. And that's where they're continuing to talk to get 5 more Democrats. I think eventually, by the end of next week, we'll have the government open. I hope I'm right there.
Okay. I was going to ask you, and you might not remember, the longest the government's ever been closed. I want to say for some reason, the
35 days, maybe 35.
Yeah, 35, 40. Yeah. Stock market earlier today, just side note, folks, Dow Jones was up 500 earlier. That's not exactly a market that's really scared or gives 2 licks that we're shut down.
No, they know that, although it hurts each day,
it does.
But overall, no, they're probably thinking what I just told you, that
so we pretty much just covered this point, right, Jim? How long will the government shut down?
We're covering it now. There's betting markets, there's the betting markets on it. Now, the betting markets are thinking it could last about 10 days when I really read the betting markets. And at least that's the consensus view. I think how this is going to end is that the Democrats want it in writing that they're going to do something on Obamacare. Their Obamacare asked. Usually that signals that on the a House and Senate floor, there'll be a colleague soliloquies on by all leaders of what they've agreed to. And I think you'll see that sometime next week. And if everybody's in agreement, then they'll have a vote and we'll get the government back. But how far do the Republicans go relative to the Obamacare? Because they may have a problem with really right-wing Republicans in the House who don't want to give hardly anything, if at all, on Obamacare. So this is not 100% that it will occur.
Now, this is the part that I know so many of our viewers and listeners are very much ag-related. Farmer aid program. What can you tell us about that?
I spent a lot of time on this one, and I think I almost understand what they're going to do. Now, I don't think you'll have Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on a CNBC show that a trade aid plan could be announced as soon as Tuesday next week. Yes, that's him. Yes, but I think the government's going to have to be open for them to actually announce it. But now, hear me out on this one. I think we're going to have farmer aid in 2 phases.
Okay.
One will be what the White House eventually announces, anywhere from $10 billion to $14 billion. And that'll be primarily as a result of one country, China. because when you look at U.S. ag exports, they're tracking pretty close for other countries' exports, but not to China. So we could have an announcement of $10 to $14 billion. The Wall Street Journal reported that, but they're going to call that trade aid, but they'll probably, when they do announce it, put an economic spin on it. Where they're going to get the funding, I think $4 to $5 billion will come from the Commodity Credit Corporation. That's what remains. That's not obligated for other payments. Yeah, they're going to figure some other way. And, the government can look in drawers and find billions of dollars, to be blunt. So it looks like 10 to $14 billion. For perspective, under Trump first administration, Trump 1.0, we had $12 billion in China trade war payments the first year, and then the second year, 2019, we had 16 billion. So a total of 28 billion, but that was over 2 years. So if the $12 billion, that's right in that range, right? The 10 to $14 billion that the Wall Street Journal speculated on based on sources. So it could be that. Now, if it's China related again, soybeans, sorghum, and cotton, and some other cherries in California will get payments. I'm not so sure about corn. We have record corn exports. Yeah, I'm not quite. The first trade war payments, corn producers didn't get hardly anything. I mean,
wasn't that something stupid like a penny?
It was.
Wasn't that a
whatever it was? It was
move.
Per bushel, and that it was, and something similar to that. So they would look to Congress for another economic aid package. Remember, we had on December 21st last year, Congress passed a twofold $10 billion in economic aid. That was the ECAP program that they just paid the other 14% on, 99%. And then they announced around $21 billion in ag disaster payments. Now, what's going to happen is Republican lawmakers are already penciling out what they could propose. And I think it'll come under probably Section 5 authority under the Commodity Credit Corporation when it's eventually done. When will that occur? It's not going to be right away. I think it'll take until the end of year spending bill as an add-on. And I've heard all sorts of levels as far as aid, but it'll be above whatever the White House announces. Okay.
That'll be interesting.
Then you have to see what will the Democrats go along with that, or will they want to extract appendages to that in order to sign off on this additional spending? Now, I think farm state lawmakers from Democratic states should sign on, but will the leadership? So that's not 100% that they can get that types of billions of dollars in phase two. Even though my hunch would say that it'll eventually happen because the economic aid is there. So 2 phases for farmer aid. Yeah, there's
our fearless
Schumer
leaders
and Dick Durbin from Illinois, Schumer from New York. And now the Republicans say the reason why Schumer did not go along with the clean continuing resolution or stopgap spending measure is he's worried in 2028 when he's up for re-election that he's going to be challenged by AOC, Ocasio-Cortez. And that's why he's got to appear to be very strong against the White House and against the Republicans in Congress. So that's where we're at politically on this one. So,
very interesting. I got a little breaking news tweet, if you don't mind me interjecting here. All right, I'll read it to the crowd. This is from Senator John Hoeven. It's a little 7-minute video that was just released on X. It's time to end the Schumer shutdown. We need to reopen the government, deliver disaster aid to farmers, and push back on China's pressure tactics. Let's pass a clean CR and get back to work for the American people. That is Senator John Hoeven from the great state of North Dakota. Mr. Wiesemeyer.
He's appropriation. He's big kingman and
Big
appropriation.
Daddy's got the checkbook and the pen.
Absolutely. Let's go through that a little bit. Now,
You want
this
to?
is China.
Okay.
Yes. Because,
you want to talk China?
Well, because they're the reason for this. And yes, Trump is going to meet, as well, we know now, at the end of this month at the in South Korea. He's going to meet with Xi Jinping. Now, Scott Bessent has already said that soybeans are going to be a big ask by Trump, like saying to China, you need to buy some U.S. soybeans. My point in this is, what's China going to ask? What does Xi Jinping want? Because he's already given to a degree on TikTok. And if they agree on purchasing U.S. soybeans, how much, when, that's still to be determined. What's he going to want?
Very interesting.
What's he going to want? And that could get into geopolitics. It could get into Taiwan, etc. And even if we have a trade agreement with China, I know the last time how long that took to get it done. So that's why this bridge payment relative to China is going to have to take place, because when you negotiate with China, the only country that takes longer is India to get any agreement, if you ever get an agreement with India. So that's what's in the making. Now, if they were, as a good faith, going into this late October, first few days of November in South Korea meeting, China could do a good faith purchase of U.S. soybeans.
That would be great.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. But when do they need the beans? Because that combination of Brazil and Argentina, they're almost filled in their soybean needs almost through the end of this year. So we're really talking next year, Tommy, in my judgment. Here's another side story. Why has Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, been so open about this trade aid coming? Well, he's one of the top economic advisors to Trump. That's one reason. But the other one is he's taken holy H from the proposed $20 billion bond swap to backstop Argentina. Well, if you recall, we talked about that in the prior podcast and said the American Soybean Association was very upset about saying, hey, wait, what about us? What about us? Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, lambasted, like saying, you need to look to the U.S. farmer. I think Scott Bessent has been so out in front because he wants to temper some of the negatives that he's been getting in the press about that Argentine proposal. So there's a cause and effect here. The other official from the Trump administration I really listened to is the National Economic Council director, Hassett. Because he also said this week that there's billions and billions of dollars, his exact quote, that they have in order to get a trade-related payment. Now, here's another angle to this trade aid, Tommy. Again, we've talked a little about it in the past. President Trump always says you can tap the billions of dollars in trade tariff revenue that's coming in. But when you look at the legislation embodying that, it's not necessarily the case where you can move that money from the Treasury Department. That's where the tariff revenue goes into a direct farmer payment. So I think that may need congressional legislation, unless they have very creative lawyers in the Trump administration that have found a way in order to tap this trade revenue as a direct farmer payment. I have my doubts, but I never rule out creative lawyers.
I like creative lawyers and accountants and whatnot. Hey, we had a little surprise, Mr. Wiesemeyer, this week. The USDA really gave us, they said the American farmer's awesome at growing corn, and we have plenty of it.
Yeah, they increased the 2024 crop a tad. I think, 24 million bushels? I may be wrong on that. But then demand, remember, demand sometimes is subjective. It's unlike soybeans where we have data checks. But feed demand and, we have exports data check. It was less than expected. So stocks went up. And here's the numbers that you look at. USDA at 1.532 billion bushels. the average trade guesstimate was around just shy of 200 million bushels less than that. So USDA surprised on stocks to the upside. They were higher. Now, that's a bearish number. I don't care any way you look at it. Now we went down for a few days, if I recall, but then we've rallied back pretty good, Tommy, right?
Yeah, we've had and soybeans actually finished the week higher, and corn and wheat looked over at soybeans going up and said, "Hell with it, we got to go up too." So it was not a. I got to tell you, Jim, with the United States government closed, with China going on holiday next week, with all the BS going on, and with harvest going on, full blown harvest pressure. Here's what's going on all across rural America right here. I think grains did incredibly well this week. And
I agree with you.
I think sometimes when guys like you and I get on, we could seem like we're down, government shut, China, but really, there was a lot of great things that happened this week. And depending on what political party you're in or spin, yeah, sure, you can make it seem like America, the world's ending. But I got to tell you something, Jim. I went to the Lainey Wilson concert last night in Nashville.
Yes.
It was packed. It was sold out. And
I
then
saw
Ella
pictures
Langley.
of it. Yeah, I saw pictures of it.
Ella Langley came on stage with her. Jelly Roll came on stage with her. Broadway was packed. Wow. I don't know how late it was packed. Me being responsible, knowing I had to film Wiesemeyer's Perspectives, went home. But it was going on. America's booming. Now, I'm sitting in downtown Nashville in a high rise. The American economy is good. Not for everyone.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us.
Yes. My friend Sean Haney, I think you know him from
Sean,
Canada. Yeah. He was at the concert.
Last night?
Yes, he sent me pictures. Yeah.
That son of a gun. Is he still in town?
He and his wife. He probably is, I think. Because he wasn't on Agri Talk today.
Well, let's post this number here on the bottom ticker. Give Sean Haney.
But here's the one on the corn. See, I'm from Illinois, so I have to watch how I say corn because Illinois says corn.
Illinois? How many S's at the end of Illinois? You ever hear someone do that?
I still say the kitchen sink. Okay, that's my Illinois coming back at me. But anyway, will we have an October crop production report? It's looking less so because of unless there maybe would be a chance if they had an agreement over the weekend. But I want to hear that from NASS. But it looks like this estimate is as of October 1. So I don't know how much advance work that NASS did. So we may not have an October crop production report to see whether or not the size of that corn crop has gone lower relative to all these disease and other problems that the general farm media are pointing out, Tommy. So that means the private estimates not on site are going to be important.
Right, like ADP jobs report, for example.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because we didn't have the jobs report this morning. I'm already always geared up on jobs report day to have the impact, short term, long term. We didn't have it. So yeah, we're flying blind, and that means the Federal Reserve too, in their October Federal Open Market Committee. They have other data sources. So I think that they can do their work, and the financial futures market clearly signal another 25 basis point cut in interest rates. And while that's not 100% given, it looks to be the case because the new jobs employment is a little weak right now because of all the uncertainty. I think once we get through the trade morass, these tariffs, we get the Supreme Court ruling on whether or not Trump was on legal grounds to do those tariffs because he used emergency authority. We'll know that either late this year or early next year. We want a little more certainty with U.S.-China relations. At least that's coming in the near horizon. So once we get through with that, then you're going to see businesses can plan. They can hire more people. They can come out with different products. But right now, I think a number of companies are on hold wanting some answers.
That makes sense. Let's head out to your buddy, over here, Mr. Newsom? What's he doing?
Gavin Newsom. Well, we had good news for corn because
Okay.
California was the only state that had not approved E15. We've got that
That's
out of
really
the
great
way.
news.
Yeah. But now the key there is, when will they actually sell E15? Do we
Oh.
have some of the reasons in a chart or not?
No, no, didn't make the cutting room, as they say in
Okay,
Hollywood.
okay.
But I can
Well,
read them to you. Would you like me to
well,
read them?
no. Let me go through the big one is infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Most stations are not yet certified. I don't care what the corn growers tell me; they're not yet certified. And compatible hardware exists. UL listed pumps and tanks, but approvals, Tommy, and fire marshal certifications are required. That takes
Oh,
time. Then another one is I have here
carb
is,
environment review.
well, the refiners and distributors, they have to retool the blending storage for E15. Some terminals have begun the upgrades, I was told, but coverage is limited. That takes time, but at least it's in progress. Pending. EPA labels exist, but California specific dispenser labeling has not yet been finalized by California's CARB. So now here's one of the key. California's CARB is going to have a meeting October 14th. They set a workshop. So we're going to see how that turns out, because they're going to have a public comment period after that workshop on E15. And the public comment period goes from October 14th to November the 12th this year. What's the bottom line? Why am I saying all this?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to take it into 2026, maybe well into 2026, before we see a significant, and hear me correct, a significant availability of E15 in California, which is a big market, but it's coming. But watch CARB. Watch CARB.
That's interesting. Yeah. Real quick, while you were speaking, we had some breaking news. I don't know how much you know about it, but we'll just talk about it. Trump considering significant tariff relief for U.S. auto production. Republican Senator, how would he pronounce it? Morano says?
Moreno from
Moreno.
Senator. Yeah. Well, and because there's a number of plants in Ohio, so I can understand.
Mm.
Trump has got pushback under some of the trucks and some of the exemptions that he gave a number of countries. So he's having to double up here and give financial aid to certain of the auto sectors. And that's a big, big political importance in the manufacturing, in the jobs, et cetera. So I'm not surprised that he's doing some economic aid for that sector as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer, we're listening to Wiesemeyer's Perspectives. I'm Tommy Grisafi. We want to take a moment for station identification and promote Mr. Wiesemeyer. I know you like him because you're watching the show. If you'd like to be on his newsletter, right there, Wiesemeyer@gmail, handsome alert. We'll get some sound effects where we ring a bell. I might even have a bell. Let me try. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Wiesemeyer@gmail. All right.
And
Now,
a number of listeners and viewers have
yeah.
already asked me, and hopefully, if I haven't put you on my list, you should be getting my newsletter. If not, email me right back at the email that was my last name at gmail.com. And this is my give back to the industry that has been so good to me for 5 decades.
Absolutely. Now here's my little sales pitch. I got a new website up, www.agbull.com. We do commodity brokerage, and we have an information video tech service where we put out a lot of other content. You see Wiesemeyer's Perspectives, but there's a lot of videos we do that we don't let out to the general public. And what that is called is this service right here. You go to www.agbull and you go to Agbull Intel Monthly or Agbull Intel Annually, and you can get signed up for that. I think it's pretty affordable, Jim. I don't think that's asking too much for someone to pay $25 a month.
No, that's a
$250
lot
year.
less than my beer tab at my bar.
I like that. I like that. Speaking of beer tabs and bars, back in the day when I was a kid working at the Board of Trade, remember the restaurant series?
Yes.
You used to just sign your bill, and they would series and traders and brokers at the restaurants, they would just send you a bill at the end of the month, and
Those were the
there's
days.
nothing like that anymore, huh?
My local bar here, we have what I call Thirsty Thursdays, where I meet with my city folk to try
For
to
executive
educate them
meetings,
on
you do
agriculture.
committee zoning and stuff like that, emergency meetings on Thursdays. Yeah,
Yeah. But
good
at
stuff.
least I walk to it. It's right around the corner from my house. That's called
That's
dangerous.
being responsible. Hey, real quick before we get out of here, um, is there anything we could expect over the weekend? I'm going to get the show bundled up. It's Friday afternoon. It'll be out by 3:30. You can let all your good listeners. And I want to thank your
Well,
listeners and viewers. They've been coming over to the Ag Bull podcast, clicking,
good,
liking, and subscribing. But
good.
what
There
could
could
Sunday
be an
look like?
agreement
Okay.
between the Democrats and Republicans. I'm not going to rule that out because they're talking. And you've heard me say before, as long as you're talking, there's a possibility of success. And number two, we may be able to find out more on this coming trade related aid to get a little bit more specific. So there you listen to Scott Bessent, and the NEC director Hassett, and then USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins. I think just be on the lookout for some of those comments. But it's not a question of if it's coming, it's when and how much and how they're going to be funded, as we've already talked about. And then the second phase, I think it's going to be up to Congress later this year under the true economic aid, and then that'll cover a lot more commodities. I think this first one, trade related, is going to be China centric, and it's going to be for those commodities who've lost market share as a result of China pulling back from the U.S. market: soybeans, sorghum, cotton, cherries, and a number of other commodities.
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, we're going to end the show this way. Look at that. Do you love America? I love
I love the
America.
stars. Yeah.
If you listened all the way to the end, you call 1-855-737-FARM or email us or go to www.agbull.com. I got 2 free flags, 3x5 American-made flags we want to give away to the listeners of Wiesemeyer's Perspectives. And with that, Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer is the star of the show. He came prepared. Jim, I will see you next week. If there's breaking news, folks, you got to get signed up for Jim's newsletter because he'll get it out to you. He'll be pumping out content all weekend. See you, my friend.
See you.